Front matter: the International Cybersecurity License Encyclopedia, a practitioner's guide to global compliance. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recording, or otherwise, without the prior written permission of the publisher, except in the case of brief quotations embodied in critical reviews and certain other non-commercial uses permitted by copyright law. Disclaimer: the information contained in this encyclopedia is for general guidance on matters of interest only and is provided in good faith. While every effort has been made to ensure the accuracy and completeness of the information, the publishers and authors are not herein engaged in rendering legal, accounting, or other professional advice. Laws and regulations are constantly changing and can be interpreted differently in different jurisdictions. The application and impact of laws can vary widely based on the specific facts involved. Before making any decision or taking any action, you should consult a qualified professional. Table of contents: this would be the detailed, multi-page listing of all parts, chapters, and sections, exactly as shown in the main index provided previously. List of figures and tables. Figures: Figure 11, the three pillars of cybersecurity licensing. Figure 21, the NIST Cybersecurity Framework Core. Figure 31, map of data sovereignty laws by region, and so on for all figures. Tables: Table 41, U.S. State Cybersecurity License Requirements Comparison. Table 51, mapping of EU certifications to roles. Table 121, gap analysis template, and so on for all tables. Forward by General Keith B. Alexander, RET, former Director, National Security Agency, NSA, Founding Commander, U.S. Cyber Command, President and CEO, IronNet Cybersecurity. The digital frontier is the new battleground for global economic and national security. For too long, the defenders of this frontier have operated without a common standard, a unified language, or a recognized credential that transcends borders. This disparity creates risk for corporations, for governments, and for citizens worldwide. The International Cybersecurity License Encyclopedia arrives at a critical juncture. It provides the first comprehensive roadmap for navigating the complex and often contradictory landscape of global cybersecurity regulations. This volume is more than a reference, it is a call to action for the professionalization of our field. It argues convincingly for a future where a licensed cybersecurity professional in Berlin is recognized as proficient and trustworthy in Tokyo or Sao Paulo, based on a shared core of knowledge and ethics. I commend the editors and contributors for undertaking this monumental task. This encyclopedia will undoubtedly become an essential tool for policymakers, corporate leaders, and security practitioners dedicated to building a more secure and resilient digital world. Preface: the need for a global cybersecurity framework. The idea for this encyclopedia was born from a simple, recurring problem faced by Chief Information Security Officers, CISOs, of multinational corporations. My team is certified, but are they licensed to operate in our new offices in Singapore and Germany? In an interconnected world, cyber threats recognize no borders, yet our defenses are often constrained by them. The response has been a rapid, fragmented proliferation of national and regional cybersecurity laws, licensing schemes, and certification requirements. This patchwork creates a significant compliance burden, stifles international talent mobility, and ultimately weakens our collective security posture. This book seeks to bring order to this chaos. Our goal is threefold: 1. To serve as a definitive reference for the existing and emerging requirements for cybersecurity licensing across the globe. 2. To provide clarity on the distinctions between professional certifications, organizational accreditations, and government-mandated licenses. 3. To offer practical guidance for professionals and organizations on how to build a compliance strategy that is both globally aware and locally effective. This work is the product of collaboration from dozens of legal experts, policymakers, and seasoned cybersecurity professionals from over 20 countries. We have strived for accuracy and objectivity, but we also recognize that this field evolves daily. We see this first edition not as a final word, but as the foundation for an ongoing conversation about raising the bar for cybersecurity professionalism worldwide. We hope this encyclopedia empowers you to navigate this complex landscape with confidence. The editorial board: how to use this encyclopedia. This book is designed for multiple audiences and is structured to facilitate both linear reading and targeted reference for the executive, CISO, CEO, board member. Begin with the preface and Chapter 1 to understand the strategic imperative use. Part 2, regional frameworks, and Part 3, sector-specific requirements to assess your organization's compliance exposure and inform strategic planning for the legal and compliance professional. Focus on Part 2 and Chapter 3 for detailed jurisdictional analysis. Appendix C. Directory of licensing bodies will be a key resource for primary source material for the practicing cybersecurity professional. Part I will help you understand the professional landscape. Use Part 2 to plan your career path and understand licensure requirements in your region or a region you target. Part 4 offers practical advice for implementing compliance for the educator and student. This book provides a curriculum-ready framework for understanding the intersection of cybersecurity, law, and policy. The structure of Part I offers a logical flow for a course on global cybersecurity governance. Key features to note: acronyms. The list of acronyms and abbreviations following this section is essential for decoding the industry's specialized language. Cross-references. Concepts mentioned in one chapter that are detailed in another are often marked with a chapter reference, e.g., see Chapter 123. Appendices. The appendices contain practical tools, sample documents, and quick reference tables. List of acronyms and abbreviations. ACSC, Australian Cybersecurity Centre. ANSI, Agence Nationale de la Sécurité des Systèmes d'Information, France. BSI, Bundesamt für Sicherheit in der Informationstechnik, Germany. CISA, Certified Information Systems Auditor, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, U.S., CISM, Certified Information Security Manager. CISP, Certified Information Systems Security Professional. CMMC, Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, U.S., CSF. Cybersecurity Framework, NIST, ENISA, European Union Agency for Cybersecurity. ISO, International Organization for Standardization. IEC, International Electrotechnical Commission. ISMS, Information Security Management System. MSSP, Managed Security Service Provider. NCSC, National Cybersecurity Centre, UK. NCSA, National Cybersecurity Authority, Saudi Arabia. NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, US. NIS2, Network and Information Systems Directive, EU. OT, Operational Technology. PCI. DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. POPIA, Protection of Personal Information Act, South Africa. This list would continue to include all acronyms used in the volume. Chapter 1, The Concept of a Cybersecurity License, written in the authoritative and detailed style of an encyclopedia. Part I, Foundations of Cybersecurity Licensing. Chapter 1, The Concept of a Cybersecurity License. Introduction. The global cybersecurity landscape is undergoing a significant shift from a voluntary, certification-based model toward a regulated, license-based paradigm. This chapter establishes the foundational lexicon and concepts that underpin this transition. We will define key terms, explore the compelling rationale for government intervention, outline the proposed core competencies for licensed professionals, and examine the global trend towards the professionalization of cybersecurity. 11 Defining license vs certification vs accreditation. A critical first step is disambiguating three terms often used interchangeably but which hold distinct legal and professional meanings. Licensure. A license is a formal, government-granted permission granted to an individual or entity to practice a profession or engage in a business activity. It is a legal mandate, not an optional credential. Authority, granted by a state, federal, or national regulatory body, e.g., a cybersecurity licensing board. Legal implication: it is illegal to practice without a license if one is required. Violations can result in fines, cease and desist orders, or criminal penalties. Purpose: to protect the public by ensuring a government-defined minimum standard of competency and ethical conduct. It is a right to practice model. Example: A law license or a medical license in cybersecurity. The Singapore Cybersecurity Act's licensing of penetration testers and managed security service providers, MSSPs, is a prime example. Certification. A certification is a voluntary credential awarded by a non-governmental, professional organization to an individual who has demonstrated specific knowledge, skills, and abilities, KSAs, through an examination process, often coupled with experience requirements. Authority, granted by a professional association or industry body, e.g., ISC, Superscript 2, ISACA, CompTIA. Legal implication. While often a de facto hiring requirement, it is not a legal mandate to practice. It signifies professional achievement, not a legal permit. Purpose, to validate expertise, enhance professional credibility, and promote career advancement. It is a recognition of knowledge. Model example, the Certified Information Systems Security Professional, CISP, or Certified Information Security Manager, CISM. Accreditation. Accreditation is a process by which an authoritative body evaluates and recognizes a program, organization, or institution as meeting predetermined standards. Scope, applied to organizations, universities, or training programs, not individuals. Purpose, to assure the quality of education or services provided. An individual may hold a certification from an accredited program, but they are not accredited themselves. Example, a university's cybersecurity degree program being accredited by the ABET, or a certification body like ISC, Superscript 2 being accredited under the ISO/IEC 17024 standard for personnel certification. Table 11. Key differences between license, certification, and accreditation. Feature license certification. Accreditation granted by government body. Professional association. Standards body. Mandatory? Yes. To practice? No. Voluntary? No. But sought after? Applies to individual/company, individual organization/program. Primary goal: public protection, professional development, quality assurance. 12 The rationale for government-issued cybersecurity licenses. The push for licensure is driven by several compelling factors that argue for a higher standard of accountability and protection. 1. The protection of public health, safety, and welfare. Cybersecurity failures in critical infrastructure, power grids, water treatment facilities, hospitals can cause physical harm and loss of life. Licensing establishes a government-backed assurance that professionals designing and defending these systems meet a baseline of competence, much like engineers or architects. 2. The tragedy of the commons in digital security. The interconnected nature of the digital ecosystem means that one organization's weak security can jeopardize many others, e.g., through supply chain attacks. Licensing creates a minimum barrier to entry, reducing the number of vulnerable entities and strengthening the overall security of the national and global digital commons. 3. Combating the Wild West perception. The low barrier to entry in the cybersecurity field has led to a wide variance in practitioner quality. Licensing helps eliminate charlatans and unqualified practitioners, thereby increasing overall trust in digital services and the professionals who provide them. 4. Standardization of practice. While certifications provide knowledge validation, they do not enforce a standardized practice methodology. A licensing body can mandate adherence to specific frameworks, e.g., NIST-CSF, ethical codes, and continuing education requirements, creating a more uniform and reliable level of service. 5. Legal and regulatory clarity. In the event of a major breach, courts and regulators struggle to define reasonable security. The existence of a government-defined license creates a clearer standard of care, simplifying litigation and regulatory enforcement. 13 Core competencies and ethical standards. A cybersecurity license must be based on a well-defined body of knowledge and a strict, enforceable code of ethics. This moves beyond the knowledge-based testing of certifications to encompass demonstrable skill and judgment. Proposed core competencies: technical proficiency, mastery of core domains such as security architecture, secure coding, network defense, digital forensics, and cloud security. Risk management, the ability to identify, assess, and mitigate risk in alignment with organizational objectives and legal requirements. Legal and regulatory compliance, expertise in applying relevant laws, e.g., GDPR, CCPA, NIS2, and sector-specific regulations, e.g., NYDFS, HIPAA, PCI-DSS, incident response and recovery, proven capability to lead and execute coordinated responses to security incidents, communication and governance, the skill to articulate risk to non-technical executives and board members and to implement effective security governance frameworks, enforceable ethical standards. A licensing board would enforce a code of ethics, with violations leading to sanctions or license revocation. Key tenets would include duty of care, prioritizing the client's/public's security above all else, confidentiality, protecting sensitive information encountered during professional activities, integrity and honesty, providing truthful assessments and avoiding conflicts of interest, competence, maintaining and enhancing professional skills through continuous education, legal compliance, adhering to all applicable laws in the practice of their profession. 14 The global trend towards professionalization. The movement towards licensing is not isolated, it is a clear and accelerating global trend signaling the maturation of cybersecurity as a profession. Early adopters, Singapore and Israel have been pioneers, implementing mandatory licensing for specific service providers, recognizing cybersecurity as a matter of national security. Legislative momentum. The European Union's NIS2 directive pushes member states to ensure a high level of competence and reliability of management and key cybersecurity personnel in essential entities. This creates a de facto licensure requirement at the corporate level. State-level action. USA. While the U.S. lacks a federal license, states like California and Texas have proposed bills to license cybersecurity professionals, focusing on those who act as third-party assessors for critical infrastructure. Sector-specific mandates. Regulations like the U.S. Department of Defense's CMMC require certified professionals to assess and validate the security of defense contractors, creating a government-mandated demand for credentialed individuals. The end goal. Chartered status. The ultimate sign of a mature profession is the establishment of a chartered status, akin to chartered accountants or engineers. The UK's Chartered Institute of Information Security, CIISEC, is a leading example, offering a professional pathway that many expect will form the basis of future government licensure schemes. This trend indicates a future where licensed cybersecurity professional will be a standard and required designation for those entrusted with protecting our most critical digital assets. Chapter 2, Key International Frameworks and Standards. Introduction. No cybersecurity license exists in a vacuum. The competencies and requirements mandated by a governmental licensing body must be grounded in globally recognized, consensus-driven standards and best practices. This chapter provides an overview of the pivotal international frameworks, standards, and professional certifications that form the foundational knowledge for the profession and serve as the most likely benchmarks for any national or international licensing regime. Understanding these is essential for aligning individual expertise with regulatory expectations. 21 ISO/IEC 27001 and the ISMS framework. The ISO/IEC 27000 family of standards, and particularly ISO/IEC 27001, is the internationally recognized gold standard for establishing, implementing, maintaining, and continually improving an information security management system. ISMS, core concept. An ISMS is a systematic approach to managing sensitive company information so that it remains secure. It encompasses people, processes, and IT systems, following the classic Plan Do Check Act, PDCA, cycle. Relevance to licensing, organizational accreditation. While ISO/IEC 27001 is an organizational accreditation standard, licensed cybersecurity professionals are often the individuals responsible for achieving and maintaining this certification for their employers or clients. Blueprint for competency. The standards Annex A outlines 93 security controls across 4 themes: organizational, people, physical, technological. A licensing body would expect a professional to be deeply familiar with these controls and their implementation. Risk-based approach. The standard's core mandate to systematically assess and treat information security risks is a fundamental competency for any licensed practitioner. It moves the focus from technical controls to business risk. For a license, demonstrating proficiency in implementing and auditing an ISMS according to ISO/IEC 27001 would be a strong indicator of advanced, holistic security management capability. 22 The NIST Cybersecurity Framework, CSF, developed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, in the United States through a collaborative, public-private process. The NIST CSF provides a policy framework of computer security guidance for how private sector organizations can assess and improve their ability to prevent, detect, and respond to cyber attacks. Core structure: the framework is built around 5 core functions, providing a high-level, strategic view of the life cycle of an organization's management of cybersecurity risk. 1. Identify, develop an organizational understanding to manage cybersecurity risk. 2. Protect, develop and implement safeguards. 3. Detect, develop and implement activities to identify a cybersecurity event. 4. Respond, develop and implement activities to act upon a detected event. 5. Recover, develop and implement activities to maintain resilience and restore capabilities. Relevance to licensing, common language. The CSF provides a universal taxonomy for cybersecurity risk that is understood by technical staff, executives, and regulators alike. A licensed professional must be fluent in this language. Adoption by regulators: its voluntary nature is shifting. It is increasingly referenced or mandated by U.S. state regulations and international bodies. Licensing exams will likely test for fluency in the CSF's functions and categories. Implementation tiers: the framework's tiers: partial, risk-informed, repeatable, adaptive, describe the degree to which cybersecurity risk management is integrated into organizational culture. A licensed advisor must be able to guide an organization through these tiers. 23 ISO/IEC 27032, Guidelines for Cybersecurity. While ISO/IEC 27001 focuses on the organization's internal information security, ISO/IEC 27032 addresses the broader realm of cybersecurity or cyberspace security, which it defines as the preservation of confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information in the cyberspace. Core focus: this standard provides guidance for addressing risks specific to the cyberspace environment, including critical concepts such as interdependencies between different systems and stakeholders, unique risks in cyberspace, e.g., social engineering, zero-day exploits, spyware, establishing stakeholder trust and collaboration, security readiness for emerging technologies like cloud and IoT. Relevance to licensing: bridge between worlds. It acts as a bridge between ISO/IEC 27001, information security, ISO/IEC 27002, Code of Practice for Controls, and other standards for network security, and application security. Holistic perspective: for a licensing body, a professional's understanding of ISO/IEC 27032 demonstrates a move beyond internal security to the complex, interconnected security landscape of the modern Internet, which is essential for roles in critical infrastructure protection and national security. 24 The role of ISC, Superscript 2, ISACA, and CompTIA. Professional nonprofit organizations have been the de facto standard bearers for cybersecurity education and certification for decades. Their role will evolve within a licensed ecosystem. ISC, Superscript 2, International Information System Security Certification Consortium. Flagship credential: Certified Information System Security Professional, CISP. Role: focuses on deep, broad architectural and managerial knowledge. Its common body of knowledge, CBK, domains are a comprehensive map of the information security field. It is often seen as the closest existing equivalent to a license to practice at a senior level. ISACA, Information Systems Audit and Control Association. Flagship credentials: Certified Information Security Manager, CISM, and Certified Information Systems Auditor, CISA. Role: focuses on the audit, control, assurance, and governance of information systems. CISA is the global standard for IT audit, and CISM is focused on information risk management and governance from a management perspective. CompTIA, Computing Technology Industry Association. Flagship credential: Security and Role, provides foundational, vendor-neutral knowledge for early career professionals. It is often a prerequisite for technical roles and 8570 compliance and serves as an excellent entry point towards more advanced licenses. These bodies are not licensing authorities but are critical partners. Their exams, codes of ethics, and continuing professional education, CPE, requirements provide a ready-made infrastructure that government licensing bodies will likely leverage. 25 Mapping vendor certifications to licensing bodies, CISP, CISM, CISA, etc. A key challenge for any new licensing regime will be handling the existing ecosystem of professionals who hold respected certifications. A likely model is grandfathering or mapping, where certain certifications are deemed to fulfill the knowledge examination requirement for a license, perhaps with additional local legal or ethics components. Table 21, Potential mapping of certifications to licensing competency areas. Professional certification primary focus. Potential licensing equivalency /path ISC, superscript 2 CISP security architecture and engineering, managerial risk senior level license, e.g., licensed cybersecurity architect /manager, may fulfill core knowledge exam. ISACA CISM information security management and governance management level license, e.g., licensed information security manager, ISACA CISA auditing control and assurance specialized license, e.g., licensed IT auditor, CompTIA security plus foundational cybersecurity knowledge entry level /junior analyst license or prerequisite for sitting for a higher level license exam. EC Council CEH technical penetration testing skills specialized license, e.g., licensed penetration tester, as seen in Singapore's model. GIAC GCIH incident handling specialized license, e.g., licensed incident responder. Conclusion: a national licensing body would not replace these certifications but would use them as a component of a larger requirement that might also include a jurisprudence exam on local cybersecurity laws, mandatory continuing education on national threats and frameworks, a background check and proof of citizenship or residency, adherence to a state-enforced code of ethics with clear disciplinary procedures. This chapter establishes that a future cybersecurity license will not be created from whole cloth but will be built upon the solid foundation of these globally accepted standards and certifications, adding the layer of legal mandate and public accountability required for a true profession. Chapter 3, Legal and Jurisdictional Challenges. Introduction. The inherently borderless nature of the Internet and digital threats collides with the territorially bounded nature of law and regulation. For an international cybersecurity license to be effective, it must navigate this complex web of overlapping and sometimes conflicting legal jurisdictions. This chapter examines the critical legal challenges that underpin the creation and recognition of a global licensing framework, from the extraterritorial reach of powerful nations to the emerging concept of data sovereignty and the role of international bodies in fostering cooperation. 31 Understanding extraterritorial application of laws. Extraterritoriality refers to the application of a country's laws beyond its national borders in cybersecurity. This is a powerful and often contentious tool used by governments to protect their national and economic interests, regardless of where a cyber incident originates or where the data is stored. Mechanisms of extraterritorial application. The effects doctrine: a country asserts jurisdiction over foreign conduct that has, or is intended to have, a substantial effect within its territory, e.g., a cyber attack from country A that disrupts critical infrastructure in country B. Nationality principle: a country applies its laws to its citizens and corporate entities, no matter where in the world they are operating. Protective principle: a country asserts jurisdiction over conduct outside its borders that threatens its national security or fundamental government functions. Key examples: the EU's GDPR applies to any organization anywhere in the world that processes the personal data of individuals in the EU, offering goods or services or monitoring their behavior. The potential fines, up to 4% of global revenue, give this law significant global force. The U.S. Cloud Act allows U.S. law enforcement to compel US-based technology companies to provide requested data stored on servers anywhere in the world, even if that data storage violates another country's data localization laws. Implications for licensing: A licensed cybersecurity professional must understand that implementing security controls for a multinational client is not merely a technical exercise. They must design programs that comply not only with local laws but also with the extraterritorial laws of other nations that may claim jurisdiction over the client's operations or data. Failure to do so could expose the client and the professional to significant legal and financial risk. 32 Data sovereignty and data localization laws. Data sovereignty is the concept that digital data is subject to the laws of the country in which it is located. This concept has given rise to data localization laws, which mandate that certain types of data must be collected, processed, and stored within a country's borders. Drivers for data localization: national security, to prevent foreign surveillance and ensure domestic law enforcement can access data for investigations; privacy and data protection, to ensure citizen data is protected by domestic privacy laws perceived as stronger than others, a key driver behind GDPR; economic nationalism, to foster local investment in data centers and IT industries. Examples of localization laws: China's cybersecurity law requires critical information infrastructure operators to store personal information and important data within China. Russia's federal law No. 242/FZ mandates that data operators processing Russian citizens' personal data must use databases located within Russia. India's draft data protection bill has contained provisions requiring the localization of sensitive personal data. Implications for licensing: a licensed professional architecting a cloud or data storage solution for a global company cannot simply choose the most efficient or cost-effective provider. They must first map data flows and ensure strict compliance with the localization requirements of every jurisdiction in which the company operates. This adds a significant layer of legal and technical complexity to their role, making knowledge of international data law a core competency. 33 Mutual recognition agreements, MRAs, between nations. A mutual recognition agreement, MRA, is a treaty between two or more countries whereby each agrees to recognize the conformity assessment results, e.g., certifications, licenses, from the other. For cybersecurity professionals, MRAs are the primary mechanism to avoid the need to obtain multiple, redundant licenses in every country they wish to practice. In the goal of an MRA, to enable the free movement of skilled professionals and services across borders by establishing trust in the equivalence of each country's licensing standards. Key components of a cybersecurity MRA: 1. Equivalent standards, agreement that the competencies and knowledge required for a license in country A are substantially similar to those in country B. 2. Recognition of credentials, a licensed professional from country A can have their credential recognized to practice in country B, often with minimal additional requirements, e.g., a jurisprudence exam on country B's local laws. 3. Reciprocity, the agreement must be mutually beneficial and apply equally to professionals from both jurisdictions. Challenges: achieving MRAs is politically difficult. It requires aligning disparate national standards, overcoming protectionist sentiments, hiring local, and establishing trust in the rigor of another country's licensing and enforcement regimes. 34 The role of supranational bodies, EU, ASEAN, OECD. Supranational bodies play a critical role in harmonizing standards and fostering the cross-border cooperation necessary for international licensure. They act as facilitators, setting baseline rules that member states must adopt. European Union, EU. The most powerful example of supranational legal harmonization directives, instruments like the NIS2 directive and GDPR require member states to transpose them into national law, creating a high degree of legal uniformity across 27 countries. This de facto creates a common market for cybersecurity services and a foundation for professional mobility. ENISA, the EU Agency for Cybersecurity, is actively developing European cybersecurity certification schemes, e.g., under the EU Cybersecurity Act, that could form the basis for a pan-European recognition of professional qualifications. Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, takes a more cooperative, consensus-based approach. ASEAN Agreement on Electronic Commerce includes provisions on cybersecurity cooperation and data governance, aiming to build trust and gradually align member states' policies, which could eventually lead to discussions on professional standards. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD functions as a policy think tank and standard setter. OECD guidelines for the security of information systems and networks provide foundational principles for policy making that have influenced national strategies worldwide. While not legally binding, they create soft law and establish common global norms that licensing bodies can reference. Implications for licensing: these bodies are not creating the licenses themselves but are building the essential interstate trust and legal interoperability that makes mutual recognition of licenses possible. A licensed professional must be aware of the directives and guidelines produced by these bodies, as they often represent the future direction of national legislation. Table 31, Supranational bodies and their influence on cybersecurity. Licensing body type of influence. Example: instrument. Impact on licensing European Union. EU, legal harmonization. NIS2 directive mandates appropriate competence, forces member states to align requirements, creating a foundation for MRAs. ASEAN cooperative framework. ASEAN cybersecurity cooperation strategy promotes information sharing and capacity building, creating the dialogue needed for future MRAs. OECD policy standard setter guidelines on security of IS creates globally accepted principles that can be codified into licensing competency requirements. APEC economic cooperation. APEC cross-border privacy rules, CBPR, aligns data protection standards, a key adjacent area to cybersecurity licensure. Conclusion: the path to a globally recognized cybersecurity license is fraught with legal complexity. It requires professionals and policymakers to grapple with the tension between national sovereignty and global interconnection. The ultimate solution will likely be a layered one: national licenses based on harmonized international standards, with their portability enabled by a network of mutual recognition agreements forged through the work of supranational bodies. Part 2, Regional Licensing Frameworks. Chapter 4, The Americas. Introduction. The Americas present a diverse and fragmented landscape for cybersecurity licensing. Unlike a harmonized bloc like the EU, the region is characterized by a patchwork of national strategies, state-level initiatives, particularly in the US, and evolving legal frameworks. This chapter analyzes the current state and trajectory of cybersecurity professional licensure and mandatory certification from North to South America, highlighting the stark contrast between the US decentralized approach and the more nationally driven strategies of its neighbors. 41 United States. State-by-state analysis. The United States lacks a federal-level cybersecurity license for professionals. Instead, the landscape is defined by a combination of state-level legislative proposals and stringent federal mandates for government contractors. 411 licensed cybersecurity practitioner requirements. As of current year, no state has successfully enacted a broad-based cybersecurity professional license. However, several have proposed legislation, indicating a clear trend. Texas proposed the proposed cybersecurity practitioner license has been a bellwether. It aimed to license individuals who provide cybersecurity services to critical infrastructure entities, requiring a combination of experience, education, and a recognized certification, e.g., CISP, CISM. It faced debates over scope of practice and potential market restriction. California proposed similar proposals have emerged, often focusing on cybersecurity consultants or assessors. The driving force is the state's stringent privacy law, CCPA/CPRA, and its vast critical infrastructure, creating demand for assured competency. New York, de facto standards while not a license, NYDFS Cybersecurity Regulation, 23 NYCRR 500, requires covered entities to employ qualified cybersecurity personnel. The regulation sets a high bar for expertise, effectively creating a market mandate for certified professionals and establishing a model other states watch closely. Table 41, Comparison of U.S. state cybersecurity licensing initiatives. State initiative/proposal. Key requirements. Status and focus. Texas Cybersecurity Practitioner License EXP and Education and Certification, e.g., CISP, proposed. Not passed. Focus on critical infrastructure. California various consultant licensing bills similar to Texas model, Recurring proposals focus on privacy and critical infrastructure. New York NYDFS 23 NYCRR 500 mandates qualified CISO and personnel enforce de facto standard for financial services. 412 federal contractor requirements, CMMC, NIST SP 800 to 107.